Good morning, everyone. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options and your morning market preparation video for September 25th, 2017. Well, hey, as we enter this last week of September, this last week of the third quarter, we've had a really strong market, clearly a very strong market. And now we've got just a little bit of apprehensiveness here in the market. Nothing severe, just a little bit apprehensive. As the war of words kind of intensifies between the U.S. and North Korea, actually the world and North Korea, there's just this little bit of, it's kind of like a nagging headache, thumping us in the back of the head all the time. We want to be long, we want to be bullish this market, but we're just a little bit unsure as to what to do. So, as you look at this pullback, we had a bit of an indecision day left here on Friday. Nothing terrible out of the ordinary. This market is, the diamonds here has rallied strongly. This little pullback would be just normal reaction as long as it doesn't get any worse. Now, one of the things I want to caution everyone against is becoming overly long or being complacent. And that's a little bit what's going on right now. Everyone seems to be chasing into this market without any fear or reservation of a fall. And that may be the case. We may not fall at all. But we should be just a little bit, wise to the fact that any action out of North Korea right now could actually create a military response from the U.S. Or another, South Korea or something like that. And this could quickly escalate. So we want to be prepared with a plan to deal with that sudden knee-jerk volatility that could occur. And we want to be really watchful of that at any time. This is not a market right now to just blindly chase into. It's a market to stay very watchful of, staying focused on that price action, maybe with an eye to the news, just in case that knucklehead over there lets another missile off a chain. I don't know how many more is going to be allowed before we actually begin stopping that action, moving to stop that action. And when we look at the SPY dropped here below this little island up here, dropped below, but managed to rally off of that by the end of the day. Still well above the 50-day moving average, still well above this support level here. So there's really no major concern here on the SPY, just a little bit of caution. Again, a little bit of apprehensiveness. Let's take a look at the Qs. Now the Qs slipped, on the pressure of Apple selling off. The Qs have slipped down here and at one point dropped below the 50-day moving average on Friday. But the bulls stepped in and rallied that right back up, holding that 50 days. So right now we're okay, but we do need to recover this long-term trend. You see that long-term trend here. We don't want to see this rally back up into here and then show us a failure pattern off of there. That would be not good for the Qs. So we need that to rally back up, hold that 50-day, show some bullishness to the upside here, some follow through to the upside. Now this morning the futures are pointing to a slightly lower open, and you can see the Qs are set to open just a little bit, just a tiny bit lower, as the rest of the market is, just ever so slight. Now the bright shining light, which is kind of a surprise, that it is the bright shining light, is IWM. IWM managed to make a new record high on Friday. This index has trailed behind everything else the entire year. All of a sudden showed considerable strength popping up here. Now, whether this will rest or pull back, that's something yet to be seen. We'll wait and pass judgment on that as we get more price data on how it deals with this resistance area. But I got to tell you, it's nice to see the IWM starting to participate in the overall market. And that could be very helpful if we are going to continue to rally or break out. So let's keep in mind that we have, we're going to kick off fourth quarter earnings here in about 3 weeks. And those are usually really good events to spur the market on. However, leading up to that, we can have just a little bit of a pause because the market's not sure how those earnings are going to start to roll out. So I wouldn't be overly surprised to see us slip into a bit of a choppy zone here for the next week or so, maybe even more. I don't want to make that a prediction, but just be watchful of that. We just have this overall concern, just kind of nagging out there with North Korea. And with, the new quarter of earnings getting ready to gear up, the market may just need to rest a little bit. One concern that I have, and I mention this about every day, is that, we are reaching extreme complacency here in the VIX. The VIX is showing us, here, I'm going to go back on a long-term chart and show you that we're down here at right next to all-time lows. So we're coming very, very close to creating a new all-time low, which is really, it can be okay. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to spike in fear. But what it does show us is if we do spike in fear, it can come very, very quickly. So you want to have a plan to deal with that. So make sure that you're not, and one of the ways, let me just tell you, one of the ways I'm going to do that is I will be lighter in the market than I would normally be in a full-on bullish market. I don't want to be overly long because I can't control these fear spikes, and nor can anyone else. And so as a result, I don't want to get caught, wake up one morning and see us gapping down 300 points. I want to have very defensible positions. That means I want to buy stocks at or near price support levels where my stop loss is close for my entry, and I have a little bit more say-so about where I would get out. Last thing I want to do is chase anything in this market. I think at your own peril. It could be very, very dangerous to do that. So I want to be pretty close to my support levels. I want to be smart about this, and I want to also remain bullish, because when you look at the overall market, there's just no way to look at this and not see bullishness. There's tons of bullishness here, so we want to trade with it, but we also want to make sure, we want to recognize the issues that could be ahead of us. One thing I will also do, and you guys saw me do this on Friday, took 22% gains on PayPal, and PayPal even went up, and I said there's nothing wrong with this chart. So I'll be willing to sell into strength to collect profits. I can always buy back. I don't have to allow greed to get in the way of me taking profits in a market that could really quickly turn. So I'll be selling into strength when those returns start to happen. So just an example of how I will be managing those, meaning that I'm willing to take smaller gains quicker to protect myself in what could turn out to be a very volatile market. We'll wait and see. So with that, on the earnings calendar today, we really don't have anything to worry about. We've got Chicago Fed National Activity Index, and we've got the Dallas Fed survey. Neither of those would be expected to move the market at all. We've got 3 Fed speakers today, one before the market opens, one midday, and one after the market closes, and then a few bond auctions. So really nothing on the economic calendar to be at all worried about today. On the earnings calendar, we have just over 25 companies right about 25 companies looking to report earnings today. Probably the biggest one only big because I know our members have been watching it pretty closely, is Red Hat. And it reports today after the close. So make sure if you're in this trade or thinking about getting in this trade that you have a plan to deal with that earnings event. Other than that, there's not much going on, and we're just going to have to be very closely watching the price action. If the bulls creep in and pick this up and maintain control, awesome. That's what we want to see happen. We can start taking some of those long positions, adding a few more back, doing those kind of things. If we see those bears starting to edge in, showing a little bit more uncertainty, then we need to just sit on our hands a little bit, relax, and wait for the better entries. So it's one of those kind of days. It could be one of those kind of weeks, just kind of back and forth. We'll have to wait and see. But hey, everyone, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. Remember, everyone, tomorrow I will be leaving for Chicago for the meeting at the CBOE and will not be around most of the week. So from Tuesday through the end of the week, there will not be a morning video or morning note written. I apologize for that. I will be keeping track with members, keeping in touch with members through email, but I won't have the ability to do videos. So everyone, take care. Have a great week. Have great profits today, I hope, and I will talk to you all soon.